Let's be real, Heroes of Hammerwatch 2 throws a lot at you. Loot systems, skill trees, New Game Plus scaling, Shadow Curse mechanics and more. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially once you hit the mid-game grind or dive into New Game Plus tiers. So let me make it easy for you and show you today some of the most important tips and tricks I wish I knew from day one. In this game, you will come across a ton of loot during your runs. Many of these items can be used by multiple classes, so it's a good idea to store them in your stash. However, instead of dumping everything in one place, you should create stash tabs to organize items into specific categories. Since there is no search function, this will make it much easier to find what you need when switching characters. If you want to maximize your build's potential, consider unlearning skills you don't use. This removes them from the pool of possible orb upgrades, making it more likely that you will get the ones you actually want. For example, the Ranger's Trap skill isn't very useful, so if you unlearn it, the game will no longer offer you upgrades for it during your runs. The same applies to the combo mechanic. While it's decent in your first playthrough, it becomes less effective in higher New Game Plus levels and can even aggro too many enemies, giving you more problems than benefits. Removing it at the NPC in the library can save you a lot of trouble. Next to this NPC, you will find a trinket attunement station, where you can use leftover skill points to upgrade your favorite trinkets, effectively doubling their strength. However, you will need to find the trinket blueprints first. You can obtain these simply by playing normally or by using your strongest character to do speedruns on lower difficulty levels. To make spotting them easier, remember to enable the Farsight option at the Architect. Also, those blueprints only start appearing once you upgrade the library to a certain level. You won't find them when you just started the game. To increase your chances of success in New Game Plus, always open your map at the start of each level. If you take close attention, you can spot cracks in the walls that lead to hidden rooms. In those rooms, you can not only find valuable armor and weapons, but also trinkets. I have found some amazing items in them that completely turned the tide when I was struggling. Before starting a run, decide whether you are aiming for a farm run or a serious New Game Plus push. Your starting buffs make a big difference. For example, if you pick Crooked Back and Prospector's Pride, it's best to stick to farming and return to town rather than trying to complete the run. Alternatively, you could lower the difficulty so that those drawbacks don't affect you so much. Once you reach New Game Plus 1, you will have to deal with the Shadow Curse. This debuff reduces your armor and resistances with each stack, making you much easier to kill. This system got recently a complete rework. Before, you would constantly get hit with Shadow Curse from random enemies, which was honestly kind of annoying. But now that's gone. Instead, now the curse comes mainly from floor traps, so you actually have a good chance to avoid it, if you're paying attention of course. But the real game changer here are the new Shadow Curse chests. These things are a blessing and a curse, literally. When you open one, it spawns shades that will try their best to ruin your day by dealing damage and stacking Shadow Curse on you. Sounds bad, right? Well, here is why you absolutely want to open them anyway. The chests can drop a new elixir that permanently upgrades one of your attributes. So every time you see one, take the risk. It's totally worth it. And on top of that, we now have an awesome new feature. You can now actually reroll choices in exchange for taking on some Shadow Curse. So if you don't like your options, you can roll the dice again. You unlock more rolls the higher you go into New Game Plus. I was really hoping for this feature for a while. It will help immensely when you wanna focus on a specific build. To reduce the Shadow Curse build-up, you can upgrade the pyre in your town, which decreases its gain by 20% per level. Then there is also a drink at the tavern that helps, along with certain trinkets and item enchants. And there is also a blessing at the chapel, once you upgrade it high enough, that also can reduce the build-up. Also, while running through levels, keep an eye out for small braziers and fire pits, as lighting them will remove a certain amount of your Shadow Curse stacks. You can also make use of the Shadow Curse shop. If you buy one item at a time, the amount of Shadow Curse gain is very low and manageable. But if you try to purchase 2 or more, the cost jumps up significantly. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that you cannot go back later to buy more after you made a purchase, so choose wisely. Not only does Shadow Curse cause you problems, but also each increase in New Game Plus makes your armor and resistances drop exponentially, making those stats even more important as you progress. This is why leveling up the Paladin and Warlock is super important, as their titles provide strong stat boosts. Besides that, you can also improve your armor at the Armorer, elemental resistances at the Mystic, and poison resistance at the Apothecary. Enchants and attuning to certain trinkets can also significantly boost your defenses. Plus, the Elemental Breakfast is a great choice for extra resistances. Higher New Game Plus levels also increase your level cap. At New Game Plus 0, the cap is level 20, but with each New Game Plus level, it increases by 5. So in New Game Plus 1, you can level up to 25, in New Game Plus 2, up to 30, and so on. A good strategy when reaching a New Game Plus level is to farm experience in the first 4 areas before trying to go for a clear run. So let's say you want to do a New Game Plus 1 push to get to plus 2. Then you will have a much easier time if you start out at level 25 instead of level 18, for example. The enemies in the first few levels won't give you much XP, so you only wanna focus on collecting XP scrolls here. They will give you a good chunk of XP, especially if you choose the Blessing of Wisdom and Sweet Pancakes before the run. And if you are lucky, you might even find an XP shrine that gives you 100% more XP, or the Book of Enlightenment, which can provide up to 40% extra XP when attuned. If you are playing a ranged class or build, aiming can sometimes be tricky in chaotic fights, but you can improve this by enabling the aim guide in the settings menu. This allows you to choose between a directional arrow, a laser guide, or both, making it much easier to land your shots. Throughout your runs, you will come across cooks and monks. Cooks provide additional food buffs, while monks offer extra chapel blessings, both of which last for your entire run. So even though you start with just a few buffs at the beginning, you can stack up many more by exploring and interacting with those NPCs, so don't miss out on those free buffs. If you ever want to reallocate skill points from your subclass tree, then you don't have to use the reskill function at the trainer. Instead, switch to another subclass and then switch back. This resets all the skill points from the subclass skill tree, letting you reallocate them without spending resources. Spell power is the most important stat for most classes and builds. It increases the damage of pretty much all active skills, even those that might not seem magical, such as the warrior's whirling axes. Depending on your character, the stat that increases your spell power should be your main focus. However, if you are running a pure weapon-based build, then stats like weapon crit chance, weapon power, and physical damage become more important. So pick and choose accordingly. Lastly, let's talk about parry chance. It is an excellent secondary defense, especially for any character that fights in melee range. Certain weapons naturally come with parry chance, making them a solid choice for survivability. One-handed swords and dirks give you anywhere between 20 and 30% parry chance, while dual daggers provide a massive 50%, making them a strong option for dodging incoming damage. Plus, you can also boost parry chance further by using gloves with the right enchant. Shields, on the other hand, can offer both parry chance and the ability to block incoming projectiles, making them a great defensive tool. If your main source of damage comes from skills rather than weapon attacks, running a sword or dirk with a shield is a fantastic way to make yourself incredibly tanky. And with the latest update, shields have become even better. You can now increase your shield block at the trainer, making them a much more viable option. So that's it for today. Let me know if you have any other tips and tricks in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more content like this. And I'll see you in the next one.